So hi and welcome to another video, and today this is a skate test video. This is going to be using the Endgame XM1 mouse here with the stock feet, and we're going to be installing the Corepad Skatez here and seeing if there's any friction difference and whether they're worth putting on. What we're going to do is run the tests on the stock and the Corepads against these four baseline pads here. We've got the ZOWIE GSR SE Divina, the MP510 from Cooler Master, SteelSeries QCK, and the Logitech G640, which is my daily, so it might be a little bit more friction on it because it's probably due changing, which I'm going to do shortly. We're going to use the hairdryer here to take the pads off. We're going to use a force gauge meter to test the friction across these pads, and I'll show you charts so you can see which glides best on stock, as well as if the skates have improved. I'm also using a caliper here to test the size to see if it messes around the lift-off distance, if they're slightly different to what the stock skates are. And as you know, if a lot of you requested me to use some other pads here, which I'm going to do in my other tests here using the FK2, and that's the Glide 38, the ROG Scabbard, and the SPC here that have all been heavily requested. If you're not familiar how to read the measurements from the force gauge meter here, check out the video description. There's a link in the video to my measurement video that explains all the tests I do across all my videos, because they're all generic. So here we are, and the NSW for the G640 was 23. The average for NFW was 33. The average for RSW was 27. The average for RFW was 32. That gives this pad an average of 30 grams of force using the stock skates to push across. So let's check out with the Corepads. With Corepads, the average was 26 for NSW. For NFW was 38. For RSW it was 32, and for RFW it was 43, which gives it an average of 35 grams of force. So when we compare these skates on the G640 pad here, the average is of 30 for the standard and 35 for the Corepads. The standard skates here are obviously a little bit quicker on the G640. So moving on here to the SteelSeries QCK, the average for the NSW was 27, for NFW was 38, for RSW was 25, for RFW was 32, gave it an average of 32 grams. When we put the Corepads on, we got an average NSW of 26, an NFW of 33, an RSW of 24, and an RFW of 28, and an average of 29 grams. What you see is the Corepads perform better on the QCK here over the standard pads. And you can see here also how they performed on the G640. Moving on the Cooler Master MP510, the NSW average was 23, NFW was 29, RSW was 25, and the RFW was 32, giving it an average of 27 on stock skates. When we look at the Corepads, the NSW average was 22, NFW 25, RSW 23, and RFW 30. Giving it an average of 24 grams here. So again, now the Corepads are showing that they're a little bit quicker here by a few grams against the stock. And overall, as expected so far, the MP510 is the quicker pad here of these three so far. Not that we're trying to show that, but it's interesting anyway, just to see. So moving on here to the ZOWIE GSR SE Divina here, and the stock skates, NSW average was 25, NFW 35, RSW 25 and RFW 33, giving the stock skates an average of 30 here. Moving on to the core pads, we've got a NSW of 27, an NFW of 32, an RSW of 26, an RFW of 26, and the average is 29. So again, by a gram here, so it could be a margin of error, the core pads are just in the lead here. And if you compare these across the board here, even though we're not trying to show which pads are fastest here, we're just showing really more on the core pads. You can see that the MP510, which it has been, is still the fastest pad here out of these four. Just bear in mind the G640 is worn a lot more than these because I use it as my daily at the moment. So with the stock skates here against the core skates, the core pads are 0.2 or 0.3 mil thicker here, let's say. They don't have any rounded edges, which is a bit disappointing. And looking at these results here, they don't seem to be giving us much of an improvement. The main improvement was on the MP510 here of 3 grams of actuation force, and for me, probably not really worth it. You also maybe run a little bit of an LOD risk here. Probably not going to see any issues here, but just bear that in mind depending on what surface you're on. And overall, I probably wouldn't change the stock skates at the minute until either some other skates come out aftermarket, like Hyperglides or Tigers, or Corepad perhaps do a little bit more improvement on these because these are probably early revision ones, or unless you obviously need some more skates. So as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.